in those. Let's start this session by talking about the agenda that we have. I'm going to start talking about campaign optimizations. Then we will move on and talk about the ROI case. And finally, we will talk about a review of regressions so that we could apply regressions in context of web analytics. So let's start with campaign optimizations. Now, campaign optimizations is going to be a really important component of your project. So please pay attention to this. The idea of campaign optimizations is that you use all the information and knowledge that you have to design your campaigns and you start them off. But you don't really stop at that point. Now you keep on observing the data that is coming in through the execution of your campaign. And these reports will give you some interesting information about how your keywords are performing, how your ad creatives are performing, how your different campaigns are performing, right? And based on the analysis of this data, then you have to infer that how you can improve your campaign. And this is the idea of campaign optimization, right? So you can look at different aspects of the campaign design and try to implement some improvements in those aspects, right? So as we know, a campaign consists of keyword selection, what kind of matching is selected to go with keywords, right? The design of the ad creatives, the choice of the landing pages for a given ad creative, and even change in the design of the landing pages, right, in the website. And then moving on, you can think about updating of the bids and even changing the bid strategies as you go along, and updating how you allocate budget across different campaigns, right? So there can be many different aspects of campaign optimization, and one of the main parts of your report, of your final report, will be that what kind of campaign optimizations did you perform over time as you executed your campaign, and the quality of the campaign optimizations that you conducted will play an important role in deciding the grade that you get for your project. Let me give you a couple of examples, right? So let us say you start with a set of keywords, right? And when you and you match and you select a matching for them, unless and until you know that certain keywords are very specific to your business, you should not select a phrase match or an exact match for keywords. Typically, you should start off with broad match and at best a broad match modifier, right? The idea of starting off with a broad kind of matching is that once people start coming in, seeing your ads and coming to your site, you would be able to see what is the exact search query that those people might be using. And then looking at that data, you can now start doing modifications. Maybe you can delete certain keywords that are not performing very well, right? And then you can search for related keywords that might do well, right? As far as matching is concerned, sometimes by having broad matches, you might have people coming in using search queries that are not relevant for your business. If that is the case, then you might want to narrow the scope of the matching by either going to phrase matches or exact matches, or you might also want to include negative keywords, right? So this part of campaign optimization is very important because you fine tune the kind of keywords that are relevant to your campaign, and you also fine tune the matching choices that you have made. Okay. In addition to that, you can also think of changing your ad creatives. Now, if certain ad creatives are not working well, then you might think of updating those ad creatives. Of course, a good ad creative should match nicely with your keywords, and important keywords should show up either as part of your ad headline or as part of the ad text in the ad creative, right? So, by changing those aspects of the ad, you might be able to get a better click-through rate, right? Now, moving on from ad creatives, one can also think about conversion rates. And if you have got an ability to look at the conversion rate of your, being coming in from your campaigns, then you might see that conversions on which landing pages are happening well and on which landing pages they are not happening well. Once you observe that, then you might go back and check, is the landing page the right landing page for the ad creative? And if it is, then it is fine. It's just that the audience that is coming in through the ad creative by clicking on that ad is not perhaps the right audience for your product, right? So then the idea is to actually try to get a different audience, okay? But you might also infer that it seems that the landing page to which people are coming to may not be the right landing page, and you may want to experiment by changing the landing page to which you direct the people to, right? Another option might be to even change the landing page design, but if you want to do that, you should have administrative access and to the website for which you are running the advertising, and the business may or may not be willing to give you that access. So if they don't want to give you that access, then obviously you cannot change the landing page designs, but at least you can change the landing page to which people are going to from among the landing pages that are available, right? So you can try to do that at least. And the very important part is bid updating. Now, when you start off your campaigns, probably you have very little information, and so you might want to start off your bidding process by maximize click kind of an easy strategy, right? But as you gather information, you may actually want to update your bids. So I will be talking a lot more about bid updating in just a minute, but this is also a very important part of campaign optimization. And finally, if you have set up multiple campaigns, then you will observe the performance of multiple campaigns over time. And based on that observation, you might actually want to reallocate budget across campaigns, right, in order to get even better overall performance for the account, right? So keep in mind that I'm expecting you to perform various kind of campaign optimizations, and your final project report asks you to list out at least 3 campaign optimizations, right? And an important component of your grade for the project final report will be based on these campaign optimizations. Now, having said that, let's talk about bid setting and refinement, right? I've already given you a good background on the various bidding strategies that are available, right? But now, how do you set your bid for the first time when you start your campaign? Well, the first thing is that there is no conversion data that is available right away when you're starting your campaign for the first time. And the smart bidding strategies cannot be implemented unless there is some conversion data already available. So if you want to do and if you want to implement these smart bidding strategies focusing on conversions, you cannot do that right away. So a good alternative is to use the automated bid strategy of maximized CPC bidding, right? So that way, what happens, and you can set that up at the ad group level, so that now the Google Ads system will pick the bid on your behalf and will spend whatever budget you allocate, right? So because it will spend the entire budget that you allocate, what you might want to do is that you might want to go slow as far as budget allocation is concerned. You probably don't want to allocate a high budget in the first week of your campaign, right? You want to play a carefully watch strategy, which means that you will give some budget, of course, so that the system has the ability to generate certain clicks and conversions, and then with that data that you generate, you are able to then optimize and then allocate a bigger amount chunk of budget in the following weeks. Okay, so that's what you want to do. And by allowing the system to pick the bid on your behalf, the benefit, of course, is that you don't really have to care about what exact bids to set. Okay. Now, as the campaign goes on, and if you have maybe even at the beginning of the campaign, you have some information that these keywords are more relevant to my business and these other keywords are less relevant to my business. If that's the case, you might want to set the bids manually for those keywords, right, that are more important for you. If you don't know that, as you begin the campaign, you might discover that which keywords lead to more clicks and more conversions. And so you might, based on those observations, you will have the ability to increase your bids, right? So this is how you start off the bid settings for your campaign, right? And after the campaigns have been running for a while, what you should ask yourself is that what keywords are leading to more clicks on the ads? What are the locations from where more customers are coming and seeing your ads and coming to your website? What are the devices from where the customers are searching more and coming to your website much more? And what are the peak days and times for your business's sales? Based on that, you are able to come up with ability to target certain kind of customers and at certain points of time, right? Using certain devices. So now you can use a manual bid strategy, and you can also remember the bid adjustments aspect of bids that we talked about. So now you can use bid adjustments to increase your bids for more important segments of your customers and more important locations, more important devices, and more important times, right? So that will be a good approach to this. Now, let us say that once you observe that you are getting a low average cost per click, let's say for certain keywords, but the customers who come in have a high conversion rate. You really have the best of both worlds. It doesn't cost much to bring customers from those keywords, and yet you are getting a high conversion rate. So it might be a good idea to try to increase the bids for such kind of keywords. It's very likely that you will be able to improve the ROI of your advertising through that approach, right? On the other hand, you may have the opposite. You may have certain keywords where the cost per click is high and the conversion rate is low. So your first reaction may be to actually try to delete those keywords altogether. And that might be the right option, but you don't want to exercise this option too quickly. You might actually want to even try to reduce the bid on these keywords, right? And see that what you can get out of those keywords anyway. Maybe you might still get fewer click-throughs, but overall those keywords may still be contributing to your campaigns, right? Of course, if you cut out your investment in high CPC keywords, you will have more budget left over to invest in better keywords, right? Also, you can look for traffic patterns from different locations and from at different hours. And depending upon the value of the clicks coming in from a certain location, and when I say the value of the clicks, if people coming in from a location convert more, then clearly the value of those clicks is much more. So you might want to adjust your bids higher for people coming from that location. You might also want to consider the time slots in the same way. At certain time slots, maybe let's say in the evenings, you observe that there are more conversions. So which means that people coming in the evening are likely to buy more, and hence you might actually want to even bid more to get those people in that time frame, right? So again, you can use a bid adjustment for that purpose. Okay. Now, one other aspect that you can use is that Google Ads offer many tools And once again, the usage of these tools depends on your campaign having enough data, which means that once you have run your campaign for some time, maybe a couple of weeks, you can use things like the recommendations that Google starts automatically giving you in terms of how you should change your bids, in terms of what other changes you can do to improve performance, right? There's also a bid simulator which helps you answer what if scenario kind of questions. Like, if I increase my bid by 10 cents, how many additional impressions am I likely to get? And so this can be a very useful tool, because you can, without actually changing the bid itself and then observing what happens as a result of changing the bid, you can just simulate this. And you can say that if I increase my bid for these 5 keywords by 50 cents, then how many extra impressions will I get? And if you get a lot of extra impressions by doing that, you may look at other keywords where you may actually want to even reduce your bids, right? So you can use this bid simulator in a very effective way. You can also look at what the first page bid estimates might be, which means that what is the minimum bid that I need to actually make sure that I can show my ads at the top of the search page, or at least in the first page of Google search results. So I strongly recommend that you use these Google tools start as soon as you have the ability to use them once there is enough data, and try to optimize your campaigns by using this information. Okay. The final point is that you can refine your bids by targeting much better. And this is a very important criteria and settings which I hope that you will use in your campaigns, right? I have a lot of value if you actually are able to use this setting in your campaign optimization, right? So what this idea of the targeting setting is that once you figure out a certain subset of an audience that let's say is much more valuable for you, then you might be able to use bid adjustments to bid higher for those segment of audiences. Or you can also create separate ad groups, right, with separate kind of messaging for these kind of audiences, right? So to do that, there's a special kind of setting called the observation setting, which can be used. Okay, so the idea is that you can use the target setting to target the segment that you want to reach out at. And within the segment that you are targeting, you can further create subsegments of people using the observation setting. Okay. And when you see your Google Ads reports, you can see the performance of not only the target segment that you have, but also the subsegments within that target segment that you have created using the observation setting. Okay. So now let me give you an example about this. So let us say that there is this business owner called Abby who owns a store that sells motorcycle jackets for women. So she wants to, of course, make sure that her campaign goes well. So she thinks about what kind of consumer segment is the right segment to target her ads to. So she selects female gender, okay, under demographics, and she selects motorcycle enthusiasts as an affinity audience. If you remember, when we talk about affinity audience, we are basically trying to select audiences based on their interests. So she picks the interest of, she picks this interest where people show enthusiasm for motorcycling. So this combination, female and motorcycle enthusiast, is likely to be a good target segment for her. And that's why she sets the target that way. Okay. So now ads will show up only to those, this kind of audience segment. So this is a very good start, right? But now Abby starts to imagine that what can she create further subsegments out of this segment that she has selected already. And she thinks that people who are actively researching or planning for products that are under the category activewear, these people may be even better audience segments to target. Okay, so that's where she can use the observation criteria now, right? So what she can, once she applies this observation criteria within this target segment that she has already chosen, when she views her reports, she can see that how many ad impressions appear to her target segment overall, but also how many ad impressions appeared to those people who are in market for activewear category, right? And if based on the observation in her report, she can see that this subsegment of people who are also interested in activewear actually perform better on her ads, then she might want to do a bid adjustment. She might even create new ads and a new ad group for these people so that she can have a different set of ad creatives for these people, which might, and the benefit of having a separate ad creative is that for such people, she can have a special landing page, or the ad may actually show a different offer for these very keen people, who might be interested in her products.